Good evening and happy Friday, beautiful people. Welcome to Cultivating Conversations. I am your host, Stacy T. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for spending your Friday night with me. If you are returning, hey, what's up? What's going on? And if you are catching the replay, I appreciate you stopping by to check me out. Cultivating Conversations is a podcast where we have thought provoking conversations about life, love, the pursuit of happiness, everything in between. We have thought provoking dialogue. No topic is off limits. But it is always my hope that after our talk, after our conversation, after every podcast episode, there is something that is said that will cultivate something in your heart to continue on to have the conversation. I just want to see people whole and living their best life. As I said, I am your host, Stacy T, and tonight is episode 7 of season 3. And this is week 6 of our Successfully Single series. So if you've been here for the last 5 weeks, except for one where I had to postpone the podcast episode, we've been talking about Successfully Single. It is my painstaking uh, uh, just mantle to really make singleness great. Now, that does not mean that, I am opposed to marriage. I have gone through a divorce, so I've been married before. I believe in the institution of marriage. I believe in love. I know that marriage works. I don't plan on staying single forever, but it's just something that I have been commissioned to do because one of the problems in marriage is that people do not do singleness right. And if you do not do singleness right, it's going to be difficult to do marriage right. If you see anybody that has gone through a divorce, that has gone through some serious heartbreak in their marriage, 9 times out of 10, it was a single issue. It was an issue that was not checked in their singleness. It was an issue that was not taken care of or even addressed in their singleness that creeped into their marriage. And whatever you don't handle in your single state, you're not going to handle, or you're not going to be able to deal with it and get over it in your married state. Marriage is not a magical potion to a happy life. It's not a magical potion to cure loneliness. And it surely should not be used as a toy, if you will, or a catalyst to to secure your personal insecurities, because again, anything that is not handled in your singleness is going to come out in your marriage. And unfortunately, we live in a society at large where marriage and relationships are so idolized that singleness is not. And we are single for most of our lives, or not most of our lives, but a good portion of our lives. And in our singleness, we are not taught to enjoy singleness. We are taught and groomed to desire heavily marriage and relationship. And listen, we're humans, right? So as humans, we all want to be loved. We all want that sense of community. It's just the way that we have been shaped and created. However, the question is it going to be in a healthy manner, or is it going to be in an unhealthy manner? So these last 5 weeks, we've been talking about singleness, but not necessarily talking from a standpoint of how to get a man, how to get a date, what to look for, and this, that, and the third in somebody else. We've been dealing with ourselves. We've been dealing with ourselves. We've been doing the hard work and the hard work of tackling those things that will be a detriment not only to ourselves, but they will be a detriment to whoever we come in contact with in whatever relationship we come in contact with. We will keep messing up the lives and the hearts of those who are trying to love us until we get ourselves right. So last week, we talked about a single parenthood, and that was another topic that was not it's not talked about. It's not talked about until we have something negative to say. And again, I'll say, and I said it last week, every single parent didn't bank on or didn't go into a situation wanting to be a single parent. A lot of single parents came out of marriages. A lot of single parents came out of long-term relationships. A lot of single parents came out of situations where they thought that there was going to be a family unit and there was not. And here's the thing: there are women who are dealing with the negative or adverse effects of single parenthood, and there are men. And let me tell y'all a testimony. So after my podcast, I take those statements that to me were profound, and to those who are in the comment section, like it really resonated with them, and I will create a photo, some marketing tool to put on social media so that those who did not catch the podcast, it will be my hope that they will catch the replay. Okay. And I've always said it's not about numbers, even though I receive them and I welcome them, but I'm really about cultivating hearts. That's why I continue to do this week after week. And my numbers be a little, whatever, but it's okay because I want to cultivate hearts. Whatever is going to come and whatever the Lord has for me is going to be mine. It's going to come to me and it's going to come for me when God sees fit. I just know that I have a job to do. So I created two different I don't want to say memes, but two different photos. And one of them was for the effects of single parenthood on women, single moms, and the other one was on single parenthood for fathers. And I just felt compelled because I personally know men who have gone through divorce. I know men who have gone through divorce and were hurt, that they wanted to make the marriage work. They wasn't necessarily the ones that was out here doing what a lot of men do. They were faithful. They were, nobody's perfect, but they were faithful. They were doing what they needed to do, and it was the women who were broken. It was the women, according to their account. It was the woman, the mother, the wife, the girlfriend, whatever, who was the one who, broke up the relationship or made it to where it couldn't be repaired. So then they found themselves being single fathers, and some of them are single fathers still to this day. They're not married. They may have been in relationships, but they just haven't brought themselves to be married again. And I believe that it's because some of them just feel like, I know the headache that I went through before, and I don't want to do that again. The same thing with men who have been in long-term relationships. There are some men that say, like, I sacrificed a lot, I did a lot, I did this, that, and the third, and I don't know if I want to do that again. I don't know if my heart can take it. I don't know if my finances, my resources, if I want to give all of that away again and it not work out. So I did this picture, and it was for single dads. It was to let single fathers know that, I know, and there's a lot. I'm not the only one. There are other women that know that there are single fathers who get the short end of the stick. There are single fathers because, unfortunately, the stigma is that a lot of single fathers bail out on their families, which the number is high regardless. And I know, we talk about this and well, you got to figure out why. Like, what the woman do? Stop. The fact of the matter is that the statistics are high. That's where I'm at now. The statistics are high, and because the statistics are high, and those fathers who don't do right by their children, don't do right by the children's mother, don't do right by their former spouse, or their current spouse, the ones that do want to do well, they get a bad rap. they go to child support court and they get the books thrown at them. The women contrive, you know, stories that are not true, and they are believed because a lot of those stories are actually true. It's just not true for that particular situation, but the judge believes them. There are fathers now who want to see their children, want to spend time with their children, and there are women who are lying to their kids and telling their kids all sorts of fictitious stories that is going to create a wedge between them and their father. So I just wanted to put something out there because I just believe in balance. I wanted to put something out there to let men know, whoever sees it, that I understand. Now, I'm just a little old girl from the Bronx who decided to start a podcast during the pandemic. Everything that I talk about on my podcast, I'm not a licensed clinician. I do take counseling courses because I'm in grad school and things like that, but I'm not a licensed clinician. So when I talk about certain things, most of the things that I talk about is from experience. It's from experience, and there is a place, and there has to be a place for licensed clinicians. There has to be a place for therapy, and I will always push therapy on my platform because I know that therapy works and therapy is needed. But there's also a place for those who have experienced it, because there is something about experience that connects the person who is going through to you. Because one of the biggest lies that's told in our mind by ourselves and by the enemy, for those of you who are Christians and understand spiritual wickedness in high places and all of those things, the biggest lie that is told is that you're the only one that's going through. You're the only one that was stupid enough to fall for this or go through that, and you allowed this, and now here you are, and you're the only one, and no one is going to and so when you have a clinician to help you work through those things, but you have somebody with experience that, watch this, has healed, has healed to tell you, I understand. Now, I'm not a man, right? I'm not a man. Um, but I understand as a woman, okay, how much damage women can do when they are scorned, when they are hurt, how much damage women can do when they are broken, and there's all sorts of things going on in their head. And I wanted to let men know, like, I see you and I understand, and just keep going, keep doing what you need to do. It's not going to be in vain. And there was a gentleman who I don't even know, maybe it was the hashtag, but somebody shared the post, and there was just a whole different group of people that he shared the post, I believe, or somebody shared the post and tagged this gentleman in it. And then, a couple of people just chimed in, under the post, and was commenting, and was encouraging him. And it did my heart well. Why? Because that is the purpose of cultivating conversations. I want to cultivate hearts. If I just let one person know that you can make it, if I let one, I'm getting off topic. Let one person know that you can make it. Let one person know that, all hope is not lost. That if you don't think anybody else sees and understands, I see and I understand, because I know what it feels like to feel like I'm not seen. I know what it feels like to feel like I'm not heard. I know what it feels like to feel like I am on an island by myself and nobody is coming in to help me. Nobody cares. I understand what it feels like. So that just did my heart well. So that was my testimony for last week. So this week, this is week 6, and we are rounding out the Successfully Single series. And tonight is questions every single person should ask themselves. Okay, we've been doing the work of dissecting and chiseling at the hardness of singleness and everything that comes with that. And now I want to go a little bit into relationships kind of thing, but not too much into it, because as we go along with this podcast, and I do not have a lot of time because I have a hard stop in 30 minutes, you're going to see that all of these questions are questions that you have to ask yourself. And these are questions that you should ask yourself before you get into any type of relationship, okay? Let me just pause and say happy belated Singles Day. So yesterday, 11/11, was International Singles Day. Google it. It's a real thing. It's something that's international. It started in Asia, I believe in China, if I remember correctly. And it's a time for those who are single to treat themselves and to buy themselves things or do things for themselves that they wouldn't otherwise do. Because what other day do singles have? You have Valentine's Day, and then I think February 15th is like some unofficial something for singles. But 11/11, double ones. 11/11 is for singles. So happy belated Singles Day. If you are single and you did something for yourself, drop something, leave a comment and tell me what you did on Singles Day. I didn't do anything yesterday, but today I went and got my nails done. That was my gift to myself, which is what I often do every 2 weeks, because that is my part of my self-care. Okay, so let me hit it and quit it. I found these questions on blackandmarriedwithkids.com. Okay, there are 12 questions. All right, I'm gonna blow through these. But these are 12 questions every single person should ask themselves. Okay. Number one, are you more willing to give than to receive? Okay. And as I put in the description for this episode, these are questions that you really need to answer critically. And there's not a right or well, I'm not going to say there's not a right or a wrong answer, but if the answers don't line up with what needs to happen in order for a relationship or a marriage to flourish and be successful, then you kind of need to sit on those answers and deal with them until you get to a place where you can answer in a way that sets you up for a successful relationship when that time comes. Okay. So, number one, are you more willing to give than receive? Because here's one of the problems with relationships. And I've talked about this before, and I get on my soapbox. We come with a long list of everything that we want in a relationship. Excuse me, everything that we want, what we want in the other person. I want the other person to do this and act like this and look like this and say this and react like this and this and the third. And we do not have a list of what we're willing to offer. And sometimes, a lot of times in relationships, it's not an even balance. There's no such thing as 50-50. I'm sorry. There's no such thing as 50-50. Sometimes it's going to be 80-20. Sometimes it's going to be 70-30 on either side. It depends on the day. It depends on the attitude. It depends on the circumstance. So it's not always necessarily that, I only feel like giving 20 because you pissed me off and made me mad, so I'm not doing anything. No, maybe I'm sick. Or maybe the spouse, has to do something for their parents and you have to pick up the slack. Are you willing to give more than you receive? Okay, that's question number one. Question number two, does the final answer always have to be what you consider to be right? Okay. Hey, Serena. Hey, lady. Um, so I'm going over the questions that every single person should ask themselves. And I got these questions from blackandmarriedwithkids.com. So the first one was, are you more willing to give than receive? Okay. I truly believe in, and I think I made this up, but it sounds good to me. I call it the law of reciprocity. That may be a thing, but I never looked it up. It's just a term that I came up with. The law of reciprocity. When you give something and it's reciprocated, that's basically what it means. So if two people are coming into a relationship and they are looking to give and not so much looking to receive. I mean, everybody wants to receive. So it's not like, oh, I'll just give you everything and you don't have to give me anything. No, I want to, but my want is never going to be more than what I want to give you. Because if two people are healthy and if two people are confident and complete in and of themselves, then they it will come to a point where they are fighting to, in a good way, to see who can outdo each other in giving. Because if you give me what I need, I'm going automatically to give you what you need, not because you're giving me what I need to say. Like, if you don't give me what I need, then I'm not going to get, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you have two healthy people that really, really understand the concept of love, I want to serve you. I want to give you what you need. I want to give you what you desire. I want to give you what you deserve because I want to see you happy. And because you were so appreciative of the fact that I'm willing to do that, then you want to do the same for me. And then we keep exchanging. Okay. The law of reciprocity. All right. So number two was, does the final answer always have to be what you consider to be right? Do you always have to have the last word? Okay. And this goes, for both, because some women, I find like the longer we've been single, we're set in our ways and we feel that, whatever, or even if you're younger and you're just independent. But then there are men who feel like, well, I'm the man and what I say goes. And sometimes you wrong, bro. Sometimes you're wrong. Or sis, sometimes you're wrong and you have to acquiesce and you have to know how to let the man know that he is incorrect without emasculating him or without disrespecting his manhood. Okay, I'm not talking about ego necessarily, even though that ties into it, but knowing how to be gentle with your words. But for the men, you have to know how to acquiesce sometimes as well and be like, you know what? I am the head, but my neck is right. My bishop used to always say the man is the head, the husband is the head, but the wife, the woman, she's the neck that turns the head. So she's the one, she's to help me. She's the one that helps. And sometimes, hey Denise, sometimes it's great for the man to acquiesce and be like, you know what? I was wrong. My wife was right. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna let her take lead or whatever her suggestion is, whatever. Okay. Number three, can someone else count on you no matter what happens? Let me tell you something. Those vows that are taken are real. And they are going to kick in at some point because whatever is not tested cannot be trusted. So the sickness and in health till death do us part, for richer or for poorer, like, can someone else count on you no matter what happens, or are you going to leave? And here's the thing, a lot of times, especially like in church, there's there's this dichotomy, if you will, because these are things that you need to know about your spouse, your future spouse, but something may happen and they'll say, well, that's not your husband, that's not your wife. But if this is the road that y'all are going on, you need to know that that person's going to be there for you. Okay. Are you a person that that person can count on? Or are you going to jump ship because it got too hard? Um, Are you going to jump ship because it got too hard? Are you going to be there when they need to cry on your shoulder? Are you going to be there? Are you able to be there? Are you cut out for that? And if the answer is no, then you need to take a step back if you're desiring a relationship and just come to the fact that you're not ready. You're not ready, okay? Number 4 for the men, are you willing to be the priest, the protector, the provider, and the leader of your home? That is a mouthful. Are you willing? Are you ready to be the priest, the protector, the provider, and the leader of your home. What does that mean? That means the buck stops with you. That means you are the covering. You are covering your home. You're covering your wife. You're covering your children. You're covering, and this is a hard task for men to cover. But that doesn't only it doesn't covering doesn't only mean covering in a sense of being the protector and the like being the provider as far as like monetary. Are you ready to be the priest? That means you're the one that's leading worship. You're the one that's leading prayer. Not saying that you got to be up, and doing giving sermons and things like that, but it should not be the woman who is leading in worship and leading in prayer in the home. It should be the man. And that should start when you are dating, when you're going out and you're saying grace over the food and you're taking the lead. Are you ready to be the priest? And to get more information, I suggest and I would hope and pray that any men that come across this, that you will find yourselves in the company of a seasoned man who is a great husband and has receipts and can pour goodness into you and not venom, and show you and teach you the godly and the practical principles of what it means to be a priest. Okay, so be a provider, we know that man don't work, he don't eat. You're providing for your family. You are there, you have a job. You have a job and you're not penny pinching and trying to get money from your woman. you know Understand times are hard, but and people come, even men fall on hard times. It happens. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you living off of a woman. Okay. um a protector. And a protector is not only a protector from like bad guys, and you have a gun in the house to make sure that if somebody's coming to rob your house, you can protect your woman and your wife and your family, this and the third. Protect her from hurt. Protect her from other women. Protect her from other women, because there is nothing more attractive to a broken woman than a married man. I'm going to say it again. There is nothing more attractive to a broken woman than a married man. So not only are you allowing, or you're welcoming, just protect her. Okay, protect her, protect her heart. Okay, it's not only her whole person and her whole being in the home. Protect her heart. Are you ready to be that? If you're not ready to protect her heart, then sir, you need to just be easy. Just be easy. I wish that men would stop playing with women's hearts. I wish. I so wish. I so wish. If you're not ready, don't even give the inkling that she could be wifey material. Don't do it. Go somewhere, sit yourself down, and get the healing that you need, sir, so that you cannot so that you don't create a vicious cycle of broken women. And then when the women are broken, then the men have something to say about the woman being broken when they were broken by men that they trusted. I'm gonna get off that. Number 5, women. Because I'm not gonna come from the men and not come from my sisters, right? Because I love us. I love us. I love us. um Number 5, women. And for those of you who just joined, thanks for joining. I'm talking about questions every single should ask themselves. Okay. And we're up to number 5. I'll do a recap at 6 because there are 12 questions. And I got these questions off of blackandmarriedwithkids.com. Okay. Number 5, women. Are you ready to submit? Be the helpmeet, the supporter without resentment or longing for your previous life. I'm going to say it again. Women, are you ready to submit? Be the helpmeet, supporter, be the helpmeet and supporter without resentment or longing for your previous life. Because here's what happens with a lot of women. We are told that life does not start until you have a man or a spouse. We put off living our life until we have a life partner to live it with. So we spend a good portion of our years reading books and going to women's conferences and going online and going on webinars and listening to how to be a wife and how to find your Boaz, which I just am so over because that's a whole nother thing. Um, and you miss out on taking trips, getting your passport, going out, getting some culture, learning who you are, and then now you are under the submission of this husband where you've gone from a single woman who doesn't really know herself and know the world to a married woman, and you have no cushion under you, if you will. So now, and when you don't do that, now your entire life becomes your marriage, your entire life becomes your husband, because you have not created a foundation of who you are as a single woman. And then years go by and you seeing your single friends out here living a best life and booking flights and doing all of this stuff. And you got these kids and you got ministry and you got this husband, and I got to cook and I got to clean and I got to do this and I got to do that. And you yearn and you start to resent your role as a wife. And then what happens? It takes a toll on your marriage. Now you're not treating your husband right, and he has nothing to do with the choice that you made to not live your life. And I'm talking about live your life like being loose, but live your life and do things so that you can know who you are before you come into the marriage. He doesn't have anything to do with that, but yet he's paying for it now because you're resentful. Okay. Or are you ready to submit? Are you ready to submit and submit under the leadership of your husband? Because that is the thing. I don't care what society is trying to tell us. I don't care this new age way and thing or whatever. Now, I'll say this. Marriage is not what it used to be, where the woman is at home baking pies. And I mean, we never had Black women families. We never really had that. And a little bit of time that we did have that, they burnt it down. But life is not about like staying at home and doing this and doing that. Everybody working, everybody's hustling, everybody has their careers, everybody has what they have. There are women that are breadwinners and men who are making less than this and a third. However, the husband is still the head. Are you ready to submit to that? Are you in a place where you can say, I have so much experience under my belt. I've traveled. I've done things. I know who I am. I know what makes me tick. I know how to be independent, but I know how to turn that off for the sake of being dependent of my husband. Not that you can't think for yourself. I'm not saying that, but allowing him to be the head, allowing him to be the lead, instead of being like, well, that's not how I did it, because but y'all are one, and he's the head and he has a role to be the leader of the house. Doesn't mean that you're not a leader, but he is the leader. So there's some things that he may say, I don't think that's a good idea, or whatever. And you have to be able to submit to that. And I'm talking about a man that's worth submitting to. I'm not even touching I'm not touching that. I'm talking about in honey, Serena, hunty, listen. But there are some women who are so and and it's just something that is innate, and you're single for long enough, and there are going to be, or there could be specks and areas in your life where you will have to unlearn being um the leader and being so independent and allowing him to lead. Okay. Number six, and this ties into number six. Are you ready to work as a team? It's no more I. You know, there's a cliche, there's no I in team. There really is no I in team. I in team. There's no I in team. So are you ready to work as a team? Are you ready to talk about finances as a team? Are you ready to have savings plans as a team? You know, are you ready to talk about like your bank accounts and how you're going to bring things together? Are you ready to, excuse me, to work as a team? Okay? Because even though the husband is the lead, um there's still decisions that you both have to make. And as the husband, are you ready to allow the woman that you're going to be with to have a voice? Because sometimes there are men who they take that whole leadership thing to another level where it's like a woman becomes a doormat, or if she's not working, then you're controlling the money because like it gets dicey. So men, are you ready to be a team where she has space and she has a voice as well? Okay, so I'm going to recap 1 through 6 before I go to 7. Questions every single should ask themselves. 1, are you more willing to give than to receive? 2, does the final answer always have to be what you consider to be right? 3, can someone else count on you no matter what happens? 4, men, are you willing to be the priest, protector, provider, and leader of your home? 5, women, are you ready to submit, be the helpmeet and supporter without resentment or longing for your previous life? And 6, are you ready to work as a team? Okay, we're talking about the Successfully Single series. This is what it means to be successfully single, to have those hard conversations that you need to have. And before we start talking about how to get the boo and the in cuffing season, and I'm trying to be married and get the ring and get your entire life together first. That's why we're here on Cultivating Conversations. Okay, number 7. Are you ready to mutually submit to one another on certain decisions? So I kind of like touched on that. Are you ready to submit? Are you ready to mutually submit to one another on certain decisions? I won't go into that because I think I kind of like touched on that. Number 8. Are you ready to be shaped or molded by your spouse into the image of Christ? Let me tell you, I've heard time and time again. One, having been married myself before, one thing that I know is that when you are in a relationship, when you are married, okay, it's two people becoming one. And in that becoming one, there are a lot of bumps and bruises. There are ways that your spouse is going to irritate you and do things that's going to shape you and groom you into Christ. If we think about what Christ went through to get the power that he had to sit in the position where he sits, and everything that he had to go through to become the Christ, he was molded in a way that I know all of us would be like, nah, I'm good. And I'm not saying that you're crucified in your marriage, but you do die to self. And I'm not talking about self where you lose who you are, but your flesh and the person that is not going to be beneficial to the oneness, to the unit, to the marriage unit, that person is going to be crucified by each other. By each other. If I have a slick mouth and I'm popping, and I normally pop off because whatever, my husband will be the one to buffer me and present to me a place where I'm going to have to study to be quiet. And I may want to say some things, but it may not be beneficial to the marriage or to him or to the circumstances at hand. So where I would have, I'm just going to have to take it to the Lord in prayer. Those are the things. And that doesn't mean that you're a doormat. I'm not talking about that. Okay. I'm talking about just your flesh dying because whatever I was probably going to say wasn't going to help the situation. It was probably going to make it worse. So study to be quiet, hush, and just let it be, and then go back and talk about it later or whatever. Okay, that's an example. Number 9, are you ready to give up? This is a big one. Are you ready to give up some of your friends or people who are not friends of your marriage? Let me tell you something. You want to know? You want to know who your friends are? Fall in love? You want to know who your friends are? Meet somebody? Get into a relationship? Get married? You have to be discerning to know who you need to keep around you. Doesn't matter how close they are. If they are going to be a detriment to your marriage, they need to go. That means if it's friends, no matter how long y'all have been friends, if you sense a jealous streak, you need to let them go. You need to be um very methodical with what you share. If you share anything, you need to be very careful um about places and spaces that you share with the person. Okay, if it's people of the opposite sex, okay, I don't care how long y'all been friends. If homeboy can't respect that you have a man now and you're working in this relationship to take it to the next level, y'all can't be friends. You can't be friends. If you got a homegirl and she's been your friend, and especially with men, because men, I'm sorry, men can be so gullible, like, oh, it's nothing, it's nothing. And then you end up on top of her with your peen, and then you like, I don't know how it happened. Fool, because she was your friend, but she probably wanted you. And then when you got with somebody else, she was upset. So she was trying to get, like, women do some strange things for attention, to be with someone. And even if they don't even want you, just the mere fact that you give them attention is good enough for them. If I can take your attention away from her and put it on me, even for a little bit, then I feel like I've won because I'm broken. That's what broken women do. Okay? Um she got to go. He got to go. They have to go. And are you willing to lose those relationships and those friendships for the sake of your marriage? You got to think long and hard about that, because everybody is not going to be as easy to cut off, because these may be people who you've been friends with for so long. They may be family members who are just utterly disrespectful to your relationship and to the person that you're with. And there's nothing more cowardly than a man who allows his family to influence him in his relationship and drive a wedge between him and whoever he's with. There's nothing more cowardly than a man who does that, or a woman, but A lot of times, sorry, it's the men who don't have, not, I'm not speaking generally, some men who don't have a backbone, who can't tell sisters and mothers and stuff like, listen, this is my wife. This is going to be my wife. And you're being disrespectful. Don't do that. I want y'all to be able to get along. So many scenarios, so many, but are you willing to put those people in place for the ones that you can't necessarily get rid of because they're your family, but your friends that that are jealous, that that want to have you out in the strip club when you're supposed to be, with your wife, that's out here single or married and out here dipping and dabbling, and they come and you there and they got a friend, you got to cut them off. Okay. That was number 9. That was a big one. Number 10, have you prayed to God to prepare for your marriage? Hello? Have you prayed to God to prepare you for your marriage? That's not what it says, but I'm remixing this. Have you prayed to God to prepare you for your marriage? So rather than praying that God blesses you with the marriage, uh, Lord, prepare me for it. Prepare me for it. Okay? Number 11. Are you ready to be sexually mutually exclusive with your partner? If you, like I said in the beginning, whatever you don't handle when you are single, is going to show up in your marriage. And that doesn't mean, men, for you to be out here sticking and moving, and because you never get that out of your system. I've heard that. It's such foolishness. You never get it out of your system. Why? Because there are women everywhere. There are beautiful women everywhere. There are beautiful broken women who are waiting to destroy. They are agents of Satan waiting to destroy what God has put together. They're waiting. They're waiting. Okay? They are waiting. If you cannot be sexually and mutually exclusive, please. And don't be selfish to reel the woman in and keep her, but still be over here on the side that's whack, and you're a punk and you're a coward. And the same thing for a woman. Don't do that. Please don't do that to a man, because men cannot take cheating. Men, I don't know what it is. This is just something that we're just gonna debate about forever. But they always say that, men say that women cheating on them are worse. Is worse. Women cheating on them is worse than them cheating on a woman, which I'm never gonna understand. But I think it's one of those things, like men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and we just, agree to disagree, because we both have our own like ideals about it. Because as a man, he's feeling like, somebody's entering my stuff. Like that's my stuff. Like, she belongs to me, and to have another man enter her. Meanwhile, a woman is like, but you take your prized possession that you put inside of me and put it inside somebody else. And the idea of, it doesn't mean anything like that. Look, no, that's not how women think. And I know that's not how men think. The whole issue and bottom line is, are you ready to be sexually and mutually exclusive with your partner? If you are not, you need to have several seats and sit down until you are mature enough to understand that one husband is enough. That one wife is enough. That one woman is enough. And if you play your cards right, and if you work it like you're supposed to work it, it's always going to be spicy. It's always going to be, a scene in a situation with your spouse when you water your grass. Okay. Number 12. We're at number 12, and I have like no minutes left. Are you ready to work through your relationship even in those times you would have normally walked away with someone else? Because here's the thing. Somebody is always going to make you want to walk away at some point. You're going to get irritated and frustrated. Marriage is not for the faint of heart. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. Every day is not going to be a bed of roses. And this is not what they tell you. They say it, but they gloss over it, and then they just get right back to the sex and the ring and the dress and the wedding day and status and all of this stuff. It's not easy. It's not easy. And yes, sometimes a man may not want to come home. And sometimes the woman may not want to be there when he get there. But when you're committed and you love one another, you figure out a way to work it out. If you're always running, you will never grow anything substantial. So, are you ready to work through your relationship, even in those times you would have normally walked away with somebody else? At some point, you meet that person that is worth sticking it through. But when you meet them, you got to make sure that you stick through it. Okay. That was number 12. That was number 12. I told you I was going to hit it and quit it. I got to pick up my girls from work. They get out of work in 7 minutes and I'm going to be late, but it's okay. I want to leave you with this. Okay. I hope that these questions were thought provoking. If you need to walk it back and replay it, I really, really want us to think critically. I am so sick and tired of hearing about relationships not working and things like that, when there are so many people that I know that are in great relationships and great marriages, not absent of trials and tests, um but they work at it and they love each other and they pick each other every day. They pick each other every day. Um Over and over again for years, and they say, and tomorrow I'm going to pick you again. That's what love is, and that's what commitment is. And I'm going to leave you with this. Shout out to blackandmarriedwithkids.com. These are some great questions, and I'm even going to mull over these questions myself, but I want to leave this with you. Okay? No one deserves to inherit mediocre love or lukewarm commitment. That's a whole statement right there. That's a whole statement right there. No one deserves to inherit mediocre love and lukewarm commitment. No one deserves that. So do the work that you need to do to be the best version of yourself, not only for you, but for the person that you're praying for the person that you're waiting for the person that you're going to be presented to. Be the best version of yourself so that we can drive down the numbers of divorce in first and second marriages, especially for those who are single again. Take these 12 questions and ask yourself. And if you cannot answer these critically, in a way that sets you up to be received by, found by, or presented to, or introduced to somebody that is worthy of right love, to be loved well. Sit down. Sit down, find a therapist, pray, have a come to Jesus moment with yourself, because no one deserves to inherit mediocre love and lukewarm commitment. My name is Stacy T. This is Cultivating Conversations. This concludes the Successfully Single series, even though I am waiting for um a special episode that I'm still going to do. I'm not sure when, but I'm definitely going to do it, where we talk about the heart of a man and we hear from men, because I do want to hear from men. I don't want to speak for men. I'm speaking for the men that I've spoken to, but I want a man to actually speak for the men themselves. So I'm going to make that happen sooner or later. But yeah, this has been great. I love you guys. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you next week.